So I just wanted to quickly talk about the YouTube atheist community again that I was talking about in the Seated Walking and Talking video. Um, the reason I made that video was just to really talk about a little bit in sort of an introductory manner about a, a, a vein of YouTube content that I really was like very interested in absorbing. I found the subject matter fascinating. I found it very enlightening to a certain degree. I gravitated towards it because it seemed to provide a vocabulary for talking about issues or problems that I had with religious belief that I just it resonated with me. It was very educational to hear arguments from ontological arguments, talking about being, and purpose, none of which I didn't know even the vocabulary, but as I absorbed more and more of these types of videos, just became a little bit better versed in how secular or atheist argumentation was formed. Things like the positive claim had the burden of proof on it. Someone denying the claim just merely had to question the claim. They didn't have to provide any proof for their own position. I feel slightly dicey about that one now, but it still largely holds true. The problem here with all this, of course, is that if you, like I did, absorbed the atheist position, and you've been able to sit back and just say, well, what's your evidence? And okay, defend your claim. If you've driven a stake through the heart of the belief system, well, what do you have left standing at the end of that? And that for me personally, just reflecting on it for the last 10 years, that has been kind of one of the cruxes of the issue. So anyway, that's certainly something I'd like to speak more about again later on, but just again to kind of hone in on some of the individual content creators that I really enjoyed. The first one I'd like to speak about is Aron I, an American Texan, a paleontologist, or with paleontology in his background. I first became aware of him because he was featured on like other videos, like from resources like the Atheist Experience, and he looked like a very interesting dude. He looked like a meddler, which it turns out he is. And one of the main things he was involved in at that point, quite apart from producing a lot of YouTube content, was he was a member of the National Science Education Council, I think they're called, and basically a science communication resource for schools. But one of their tasks they were involved in was petitioning state legislatures in opposition to the likes of creationist advocacy groups like the Discovery Institute, who continue to try and have creation science or intelligent design included on high school curriculums in America, because those curriculums get decided by state legislatures yearly, to see if something needs to be changed or added to, and this council has successfully opposed that, in various states around America over the last number of years. In terms of his own work, he's probably best known for his foundational Falsehoods of Creationism series, and they're really good. They're packed full of information just about evolutionary biology and science. You can even take the criticisms of religion or about or creationism out of it, and it's still just very interesting, very entertainingly presented, and it just chock full of information. A 15-part series. He put a hell of a lot of work into it in those the late noughties and early teens, but um, he also produced another series called the Systematic Classification of Life, which again is a really, really well put together. Not doing it on his own; it's in collaboration with other partners since he's become a professional YouTuber, and all well worth seeing. Uh, a witty, erudite, and intelligent expositor of the evolutionary biology and his own field of paleontology, which is great. And he certainly has on that Science Education Council, Christian folks as well. They're not ideologically opposed to each other in terms of the work they do in terms of science communication, and opposing things like intelligent design being taught in American schools. But I suspect strongly, though, that they don't talk about belief when they're doing their work. I suspect strongly because there's no question that Aron is very much wanting to just evangelize about non-belief, which he's perfectly entitled to do. He's sincere about it. But it's just for me talking about this stuff, I'm reflecting on the fact that I devoured that type of content and fancied that I'd really reached a very settled position, with my regards to my own worldview. And but the fact is that 10 years later of thinking about and having an internal conversation about belief and a lack of belief and the implications for either one, I certainly don't have a settled position personally. The more I see the world around us today, the more that I can certainly see in this a need for belief. I absolutely see that, and I don't think that folks expressing the very 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 secular, like you're an idiot child, to have any kind of thought with regards to any kind of divinity at all. It's just like, look at a child, wake up, and but they don't seem to ever want to interact with the conversations. What if you are in despair, or if you're just trying to just reflect on your life and the world around you, not even in a particularly dramatic way, just simply moving through your days, and there isn't a huge amount of interaction with that conversation as far as I can see. And then obviously there's the whole way, progressivism and third wave feminism and critical theory and all these things have battened themselves on and are baked into all these secular atheist humanist movements. And you can't ignore that. I certainly can't anyway, because from a political point of view, like we'd be somewhat at odds with quite a lot of that. So that's I don't like. I mean, I'm sure many thousands of other people in my own age bracket, maybe a little bit younger, maybe a little bit older, absorbed all that stuff at the time. They absorbed it as it was happening. The 2008, 2009 was a very blossoming of the YouTube atheist community, and I fancied that I'd just found some sort of plateau of this is absolutely the position to adopt, and like it's like this is the solidest ground I've ever stood on, and I don't fully personally feel quite the same way anymore. I just don't. I don't think there's anything more than having an ongoing conversation about these things, as far as I can see. But it's or is that other people's experience? I don't know. That's personally why I like to try and like get into the conversation, as if people are interested in that type of conversation. Someone who studied philosophy professionally would be able to talk rings around me. Anyone that has a background in biology, as a profession, would be able to talk rings around me. I mean, frankly, anyone with a specialization in any of these fields, or a theologist for that matter. But I feel any one of us really are asked the same basic questions, and that can be a spur for any one of us to have conversations in these regards. So, uh, yeah, I mean, when I think about it now, it was the activism with regards to the feminist stuff and the more progressive stuff, that's the point at which I was like, oh, we're starting to drift away from each other here in terms of world views, but I suspect that might be the case for other people as well, possibly not. But part of my purpose for putting content like this out is if the algorithm does shove it around to anybody else, uh, it's that kind of experience is the kind of thing that I'd be very interested in hearing about. So I'll put a few links for Aron in the description, and the foundational falsehood series is really, really well worth checking out, and the systematic classification series is really, really well worth checking out. I suppose really the last thing I'd say would be, as is the case with so many other things for me personally these days, I just have to strip out the proselytizing, the secular proselytizing to a certain degree, or the progressive, proselytizing, and just try and enjoy, the nuts and bolts, you know, uh, science, or that's really all I can take from it these days. So anyway, that's just my not very well put together thoughts in that regard. So I sign off on this one. Thank you.